Hello, and welcome back to Budget Modern, your source for budget Magic the Gathering decks in the modern format for about $50 or less. Today we'll be covering a quick deck tech on a deck that I call Pop Goblin. It's a 60-card deck that you can get all of the contents of this deck on TCG Player for $46.93 total. First off, let's start out with the lands. Very simple mana base of exactly 22 mountains. Next up, we're running a surprisingly low amount of creatures, especially for a Goblin deck. Because if you're very familiar with Goblin decks in any way, you're probably used to them being just chocked full to the brim of creatures, like 25 to 30 plus creatures in the deck. Sometimes upwards of 40, but this one, surprisingly enough, only runs 5 total creature cards. Runs 2 copies of Krenko Mob Boss, which is a 4 total converted mana cost, 2 generic, 2 red, legendary creature, Goblin Warrior. That's a 3/3. With the tap ability, tap, put X 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is the total number of Goblin creatures you control. This can be a great card for mid to late game, swarming the field full of even more goblins. It can work as a nice blocker if you have to. Block with it, and then in response, tap it for the ability to produce even more goblins before it dies. But it's a really good creature production in itself. We're running 2 copies of that. And at the moment, you can pick up the dual deck Speed versus Cunning printing of him for only $3.88. Next up on our list of creatures is Siege Gang Commander, a 5 converted mana cost goblin that's a 2/2. When Siege Gang Commander comes into play, put 3 1/1 Goblin creature tokens into play. It also has the ability of pay 1 generic and a red, sacrifice a Goblin, Siege Gang Commander deals 2 damage to target creature or player. It's important to keep in mind the fact that this is not a tap ability. So as long as you've got increments of 2 mana available, with at least one of them being red each time, you can just keep on sacrificing Goblin tokens to take out potential threats your opponent might have, or to bring your opponent's life total down. Currently, the cheapest printing that TCG Player has, at the time of this video, is the Eternal Masters printing at only $1.65 a piece. And again, we're running 3 copies of Siege Gang Commander. Next up, we get to the spells in the deck. We're running 33 spells in total. We're running a playset of Burst Lightning, which is a single red casting cost, instant, with a kicker of 4 generic, and it has Burst Lightning deals 2 damage to target creature or player. If Burst Lightning was kicked, it deals 4 damage to that creature or player instead. Currently, you can pick up a Zendikar printing of this for only 16 cents a piece, and we are running a playset of it. Next up on our list is Goblin Grenade. Yet again, another single red casting cost, sorcery. Sacrifice a Goblin as an additional cost to play Goblin Grenade. Goblin Grenade deals 5 damage to target creature or player. This is an insanely good kill spell or target to send to your opponent at the simple cost of just a single goblin. You can pick up the M12 printing of these for only $1.66 a piece, and we are running a playset of that. Next up is Isochron Scepter. Very useful artifact, 2 generic, first casting cost, has imprint. When Isochron Scepter enters the battlefield, you may exile an instant card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your hand. Pay 2, tap it. You may copy the exiled card. If you do, you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Currently, the cheapest printing on CCG Player is from Eternal Masters at only $3.13 a piece. Excellent card. I cannot stress enough how good this card can be. And we are running playset of that in this deck. Next up is another sorcery card, but at 2 converted mana cost, 1 generic, 1 red, Dragon Fodder. Put 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. Great card for creating more fodder for things like Sieging Commander, or as blockers, or as overwhelming attackers. You can pick up a Magic Origins copy of this card for 14 cents. And we are running a playset of that. Next up is Impact Tremors, a 2 converted casting cost enchantment that reads, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, Impact Tremors deals 1 damage to each opponent. You can pick up one from Dragon Fodder for 26 cents a piece. We're currently running 3 copies of this in the deck. It is one of your great win conditions in this deck. Next up is Krenko's Command. 2 converted mana cost, 1 generic and 1 red, sorcery. Put 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. Another great card for spawning goblin tokens. You can pick up a Magic 13 copy for only 18 cents a piece, and we are running 4 of these. After that comes Hordeling Outburst, a 3 converted mana cost sorcery for 1 generic and 2 red. Put 3 1/1 goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. Another excellent spawning point for goblin tokens. You can pick up a Tarkir copy of this card for 59 cents a piece. We are running 4 of those. Next up is Empty the Warrens. 4 converted mana cost, 3 generic and 1 red sorcery that reads, put 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield, and it has Storm. When you cast the spell, copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. So in late game, this can absolutely flood the battlefield. Excellent card, especially along with Hordeling Outburst. And on to our final card of the deck, Burn at the Stake. It's a 5 converted mana cost sorcery, 2 generic, 3 red. As an additional cost to cast Burn at the Stake, tap any number of untapped creatures you control. Burn at the Stake deals damage to target creature or player equal to 3 times the number of creatures tapped this way. This is an insanely good alternate way to kill your opponent, aside from just trying to swarm them with goblins. It's a great way to have a ton of tokens on the battlefield, cast this, tap all of them, and just outright kill your opponent. You can pick up a copy of this from Avacyn Restored for only 43 cents a piece. And we are running 3 of these in the deck. We will have a gameplay video coming up soon, and please hit that like and subscribe button if you'd like to hear more. Thanks again.